Share screen.
Awesome. Let's record.
Let's record. Yay.
I'm also recording so that just in case
everybody's recording,
that we'll be in good shape.
Let's record.
Oh, and of course, new computer wants passwords.
Half
for
of
everything.
the point of the show, so people can hear it.
I mean, we could just talk to each other. That'd be fine.
Well, that's why we started the whole show. But
sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Other people sometimes like to hear this.
Welcome to Everyone Racers,
a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing
and oddball car culture.
It doesn't matter what kind of Limit Champ or Lucky Track Dog League you run.
SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate.
As long as you drive it hard and built it yourself.
Join us each week for tech discussions,
tips and tricks, as well as news and notes
from the world of amateur endurance racing.
And whether it's on the spot, oh sweet, we were lucky enough, and Chrissy,
and I give you just the tip.
We're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less.
Everyone report to the paddock.
There we go.
This is Chris.
Oh, great.
This is Chrissy.
Now it's starting over.
Oh, great. Oh, great. Is that you? Is that who you are? That's Mental. Go ahead.
That's Mental. Yeah, this is Mental screwing stuff up.
Yep.
Give me
Okay.
just
I'll just keep going then.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. And we are Everyone Racers. Welcome to yet another Ferrari episode. The Ferrari 312P was a Group 6 prototype sports car used for racing in 1969 and 1970. It came with a flat 12 engine, often referred to as a boxer engine. Not driving your weird Ferrari race car? Get out your bingo card. Now, a question I do not know this answer. I might have to look it up. The Ferrari's flat 12s, technically like the Testarossa was a flat 12, but it actually was not technically a horizontally opposed 12. It had like a 1 degree V or something like that. So that made it technically a flat V12 as opposed to a horizontally opposed 12. And I wonder if this is the same thing, but that's too obscure. We're just going to keep going. Unless Mental knows the answer.
I don't know the answer.
I feel like because that's the whole point of horizontally opposed Boxster. You know, I had a horizontally opposed 2-cylinder on my motorcycle. I called it a Boxer. Yeah.
I don't know.
We'll find out.
I'm sure somebody else out there either knows, is yelling at their radio, or is Googling it right now.
Bobbity boopity.
That's
bobbity
probably,
boopity. How do you not to know?
Right.
I want to
Someone
be.
with a very excellent mustache. Yes.
Sure.
So, hey, Chrissy, what are you working on?
Hey, I've been with you the whole time. We had some hurricane prep, so we had to go to Massachusetts to get the boat out. We were going to go anyway, but there was a hurricane that was coming. Fortunately, it was just kind of like a windy day, so all's well up there. We took the boat out. We put it back in. It rained, and we took it back out again because somebody insisted on willing it to be a nice day, and it did not follow suit. So it rained.
It wasn't a hurricane
to make it a nice day.
So this, I feel like you at least broke even.
Yeah, we brought it back and put it in at the lake here because I said it was a beautiful morning, like gorgeous. Get to the lake, it's clouding up. There's definitely some clouds coming. I look at the radar, it's definitely a tail that might come near. So like, oh, that won't be too bad.
Go 2 miles, throw the anchor. It takes us 3 tries to throw the anchor. We finally get there. We lay down, and it starts to rain. And it's a little bit more. And I did not say we should leave. Chris is like, fine, we'll leave. And I said, if it gets to be a little bit more rainy, I might not be as happy.
It ended up raining a lot later on, so we made the right choice.
It's fine. Yeah. Yes.
Womp womp.
Aside from that, I've been working on our porch, more staining, which is taking me forever. I'm going to go to Harbor Freight tomorrow and buy an airless sprayer so that I could just do that for more staining the porch because it's taking me days to stain this stupid porch. And
that's how you know Chris is getting frustrated with a project when it becomes the stupid thing. Whatever, the boat, the stupid race car.
Yep, it's stupid now because it's taking too long. That makes it stupid. Well, I just need to go buy a new tool to make it go faster. How about that? Do we really need an excuse? I should have done it earlier. It's a reason for a new tool.
We literally talked about it. And you're like, we should get a sprayer. Next time we do this, we'll get a sprayer. And now it's taking you 8 days to be able to try to.
That's why I'm going to get the sprayer so I can finish the first coat, let alone do the second coat.
That would be wonderful.
I also fixed some chairs. Chrissy's dad had an office chair that he loves. And he spends his life in, and it cracked a lot in the metal base. So I welded that all back up and.
Oh, that's right. So because you could make it nice.
Yeah, well, welding's one of those things where when you can do it, it's magic for people that can't. It just, well, you can fix that. Yep.
Yep.
I remember MIG welding a friend's office chair in Colorado. And right as we got it all done, he was really, really happy with it. We're just sitting there, and then it just started to raise up, and then launched the because it was a pneumatic lift, and basically the metal had gotten hot enough to start boiling the fluid, which started expanding, and it kind of popped off and fell over.
That's exciting. Okay.
Then we just put the fluid back in, put the spring back on it, and set it on, and it worked fine after that. But yeah, I learned a lesson that day.
Excellent.
Good.
Well, Mental, what are you working on, if we can hear it between the Giggle Blasts going on here?
Oh God, I'm sorry, I'm giga blasting. I was at Vegas Auto Fest this weekend. Thanks everyone.
No
who,
way. Were you? The internet knew that you were there. I even showed Chris, and I was like, see this car and 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 this car. Yep.
Yeah, it was awesome. And then it was also a Mexican Independence Day celebration, not to confuse with Cinco de Mayo, which is the day, some obscure day that they beat the French, but this is actual Mexican Independence Day. So Vicky and I went downtown and to Container Park, and it was a band called Outlaw Mariachi, which previously was known as Metalachi, where they did classic rock and heavy metal songs in the style of mariachi. Fight for Your Right to Party, done as mariachi, gives it an entire new dimension that has to be appreciated. You can find them on Spotify. That's like our new kick right now, is Outlaw and Metalachi. Metalachi has 3 albums, and Outlaw Mariachi has just started as a newer project. So it's pretty cool. And you have not noticed a new voice on our show because he's sitting there quiet and calm. But with us is Jeff Hanka from Salty Thunder Racing. You are both a Fiera.
Start over
file.
again.
No, he's recording, so in his version, it all sounds perfect.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
exactly.
fine.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll do that. I will go with that suggestion there, Chris. But Jeff Hanka, who is a Fierophile and a connoisseur of true 24-hour races, which we're going to talk about in a bit. But Jeff, what are you working on?
I am working on taking a much needed break. The running the 3 cars at the June race pretty much destroyed me. And then, getting the car prepped for this 24-hour race was kind of a chore. And our houses need a lot of much needed maintenance. It's going to take a break, but we're might have plans to bring the Corvette and the Pontiac 1000 he built back in June of next year. And I got an engine to put in the number 90 Fiero, which is my first Lemons car, and get that up to speed because it's really tired with 12,000 racing miles and 300 hours on the engine I built for it. But it's going to be a busy.
That's all?
Yeah, it's going to be a busy off season, I think, working on cars. But with the team we had and everything, and the results we had at the last race, I kind of feel it again, So I'm looking forward to it. It was a good time.
We've talked about burnout, and sometimes, just one fun weekend, you kind of reset you and get you enjoying that again. I think everybody but Chrissy's been definitely burned out.
Chrissy's been burned out on this stuff too.
Oh, that's why I didn't race at the 24 that we went to, because I was so over it. And even Kim was like, let me know if you have reason that you want to race. And I was like, no, thank you. Didn't bring my suit. Nope. No, I've gotten burnt out.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah. And I'm kind of, after hauling the car out to a race like that, 24-hour race, I kind of limit myself to one stint. And then I get the team together. I'm like, I'm going to go to bed at this time. I'm waking up at this hour, so I have enough energy to drive the rig home the next day, which is almost a 10-hour drive.
Good idea.
Yeah, you've got a bit of a haul. You're going all the way from Salt Lake to Denver, right? So
yeah, it's definitely, it takes some planning and thought, and otherwise it's going to be a lot more miserable than it already is.
Yeah. Right. All right. Yeah. Well, we'll get to all about the 24. I can't wait to talk about it. It's been a while since we have talked about it, but we have a couple of things to do before then. So awesome. It's news and go outside.
Do you like Hondas? because we like Hondas.
No, I mean, yes, I do.
And now you can go see a wide range of their history in the American Honda Collection Hall at the company's North American headquarters in Torrance, California. Now, of course, they have fancy things like NSXs and S2000s and early, 600cc cars, but they have things like an 84 Civic wagon in tan, a 78 Accord, an 86 Integra, motorcycles, that three-wheeler thing that was going to kill you immediately when you rode it. Remember that? Marine engines, generators, weed whackers.
Really?
They got all that fun stuff. Yeah, they got all that stuff.
Wow.
So, according to Carl Pulley, who is the steward of the collection, the cars on display are just a sample of what's actually available since space was limited within the collection hall that's adjacent to their primary lobby. He's going to be able to swap in different cars or adopt a theme as needed. And this is all going to be open to the public on a limited but regular basis. There's going to be scheduled cars, bikes, and coffee events hosted at the collection hall where people are invited to drive or ride their own piece of Honda history, even though all makes and eras are still welcome. But come on, to show off in Honda HQ's vast parking lot and come inside to check out the collection hall. First event will go above and beyond with special displays and giveaways and vendors and food trucks and all kinds of things. That's going to be October 21st from 9 a.m. to noon. Other events are every 2 months or so. They've got it.
You are so jelly.
I am. That would be so cool.
Well, then just fly out.
I mean, that's a commitment.
That's a big commitment.
I don't know that we're that committed.
Yeah.
You fly out in the morning, you turn around, you fly home that night. It's like a day.
I mean, it's only east. It's only entirely across the country. It's not that bad.
It sounds like a terrible day. Maybe we'll see pictures. That sounds good.
Yeah. All right, we're going to try this the wrong way. Now, talk about kicking someone while they are down or...
Nope.
Leave the video off.
Please and thank you.
I don't know what
Otherwise, you
about.
blip every few seconds on our end. So,
okay.
Try it now.
Talk about kicking someone while they were down, or at least while they're on their side. Sure. Stephen Symes has a tale and surprise, Oakland, of a Dodge Charger that crashed and flipped onto its side within minutes. It had its catalytic converter stolen. That's right. Instead of people rushing to make sure the people inside the Mopar were fine and then calling the police and waiting on a tow truck, witnesses made sure to help themselves to whatever was valuable. Now, Symes cautions, to be fair, quote, to be fair, the Mopar muscle car is likely stolen, and maybe in part that's why nobody is feverishly helping anyone who is inside of it to get out. Everyone knows they're either the thieves or they bought it off the thieves. So in part, it's a neighborhood crime problem, but none of that makes the situation any less ridiculous or sad. He is right. Link to that and the video itself is in our show notes.
That's sad.
I mean, when there's shenanigans like that, it's usually a Challenger or a Charger these days, it seems.
Yeah, because no one's going to rush to help themselves to anything off of an Altima.
No, well, if it's kind of like
left.
converter, aren't they all the same? If you're just going to take them to steal them to sell them.
Hey, who knows? It might have two. That's the thing.
Okay.
And they're convenient. They're right there when the car's on its side. You don't even need to climb under
awful.
it. Like, it's great.
All right. Were you going to say something? No.
Okay.
William Irvin Lewis at Motor Trend has sifted through the data and compiled the cities that have the best and worst drivers of America. Okay, let's see if some of these are surprising. 5th worst, Fresno, California. 4th worst, Indianapolis. 3rd worst, Riverside, California.
I can definitely see that.
2nd, Dayton, Ohio. And worst is Virginia Beach, Virginia. I wonder why. Some of these are...
I'm going to go with because it was based on accident claims. There's a lot of bridges and 2 lanes and narrow roads. If you ever had to make your way around Virginia Beach, it's a giant pain in the butt.
I have not, but like Dayton, Ohio, like there's nothing in Dayton, Ohio.
They're all trying to.
They hate their
suicide,
so they hate their lives. So they... Okay, you win. All right, let's go to the best. The 5th best, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. 4th, Hartford. Right? 4th best, Hartford, Connecticut.
Everyone's so bored, they just don't care.
I don't know about that. their roads are not great, and they're like, it's confusing, and there's accidents there all the time. Whatever.
Big insurance
Okay, fine.
company there. Maybe they're
Somebody
just kind
thought
of,
it.
they're all insurance people and they just
Right,
drive extra
right. We
careful.
wave hi to
they're-
Mecca when we
pretty much
drive by.
All the big insurance companies pretty much are there. Anyway,
Maybe
keep going.
that's why. Third best, Louisville, Kentucky. Second, Little Rock, Arkansas, and the best, Detroit, Michigan.
What?
Right. And even the author admits the data might be skewed on this one, but having judged some of the gingerbread races, I can also believe it. I didn't write this. But due to high insurance rates in Detroit, fewer accidents tend to be reported in insurance agencies. So they rank highest in reported accident, while Providence, Rhode Island is the worst. Providence also leads the nation in citations. That's kind of funny because that's the only town in Rhode Island.
Little
Milwaukee-
Rhodey, number one for something.
And smallest. Milwaukee ranks worst for speeding tickets, while Boston gets the fewest.
And the cops just don't bother at that point.
I
was
suppose
like,
not.
no one in Boston can go fast enough to get a speeding ticket.
No, it depends.
I will debate that with you, sir. I've been there as a teenager.
Yep. Used to have a record was one of those trips. San Diego wins in DUIs, while Hartford has the least. Interesting. This is an interesting list. Not what I would have pegged. Okay. Well, we'll move on. We mentioned this car before, but RacingJunk has a pretty good deal if you're looking to start getting ready in racing. This 1986 Nissan Pulsar has all of its safety equipment up to date, except for the window nut. Cage passes tech, but you'll need a new seat. The engine is an upgrade from the factory one that was running when removed from the 91 Sentra. It's got a new clutch, extra parts, transmission, brakes, and what is a sales point for everyone that has a deal that with old wiring, a clean interior with no rat's nest wiring here. It needs a cooling system, and as a new engine needs a different radiator along with some hoses. It will need wheels as the team is keeping their old ones, and it have a actual fender bender at Charlotte, but it has a new primered fender attached. It comes with wheels to get it on the trailer. You probably should take action. It's only $1,000.
Right?
Wow.
That's pretty good bargain there.
What? It's in Mint Hill, North Carolina. Link in our notes.
I mean, for
But,
a grant, we've all spent more on stupider stuff.
Yeah. And for the things that it needs, totally
Like,
reasonable.
A cage is many times that. I mean, even making a cage, it's almost $1,000 in materials and stuff.
And
Yeah,
plus
sure.
the labor and time and effort.
Yeah.
And wow. And half the teams probably can swap stuff in there if you already have something. So yeah. Anybody know anybody in Mint Hill, North Carolina?
Yeah,
Don't
we've
know
got
what
friends
I don't know
near
what Mint Hill
Charlotte,
is.
but
If
yeah.
Sasha weren't playing with our plane all the time, he'd probably go get it just because cheap Nissan. It's okay.
Yeah. 1.6 liter, which is a great time to remind everybody that, just on good bargains, you should pop over to RacingJunk, use code POD23 and get a pro membership super cheap. You get all those crazy photos, you get their internal messaging system, early access, store discount, 65 ad upgrade and credits, all kinds of cool stuff. You hide the banner ads, and no one gets depressed looking at RacingJunk. No one gets angry and starts yelling at RacingJunk.
No, I feel like I have some occasional envy or something like that.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I'm going. There are so many.
There
Yes.
sure are. Lemons is
ready
at
to
NCM.
race.
There's 80 cars. 80 cars. That's great. And only 7 of them are BMWs.
Isn't
So that's
that
less
amazing?
than 10% BMWs. Golf clap for people
Yeah,
in the
right?
Southeast. Well done. 7 Miatas, 4 Hondas, no Porsches, 2 Probes. That's good when you have more Probes than Porsches. Always a good one. A Maverick, a Dodge, a Monaco, a Tercel, a Mazda 6, and of course at National Corvette Museum track, there's 4 Corvettes.
Not.
Yeah, I
Oh,
thought
are
that
there
was
now.
5? I'm
Yeah.
Oh, there's
sorry.
5. Yep. Count 'em,
Sorry.
5 Corvettes.
I didn't go back. I had to
Sorry.
do
And-
a terrible count on this one.
The Maverick is supposedly the first Maverick in Lemons as well, so that's kind of cool.
And it's from the Psychobilly Crab Can team, which they never do anything half. They whole ass everything.
And you said, of course, there are 5 Corvettes, excuse me. And I'm pretty sure Eric said that there have not always been that many Corvettes.
No,
Well,
last
I'm
year was
happy that
weak.
of any place to
Yeah, it was
have
weak.
Corvettes,
Yep.
it's this track. And I'm glad they're bringing it. Everyone can wear their jorts and their New Balances and their Corvette jackets. And
Bring their oxygen tank.
Yeah.
Yep.
Worth
talk
mentioning.
about their medications.
It's going to be Judge Eric, Judge Shelley, and Judge Kristen with Judge Trainee Brian from Zero Budget Racing. Shelley and Kristen will not tolerate weak themes. So do not even think you're just going to come in there with, our theme is blue car. Ugh, not going to work. You're going to get put in class A with laps.
Good.
Oh, you can read it that Eric has said like a couple more things. I didn't see this when I put these in the notes. I apologize.
Yeah, we're good. I mean,
Okay.
There's a Malibu, Corollas, Tercel, Elantra Cavaliers. I mean, it's a great lineup. Send it. Have fun.
All right. Champ is at Harris Hill. Excuse me. I do not remember that there's last year there was half the fields were Miatas. There are 34 cars, 4 of them BMWs, which is not bad. 17 of them are Miatas, 1
Again,
Honda,
half the field.
the
again.
field. Oh,
Ugh.
yes. 1 Honda, and it's an Insight.
Oh, that's
That's cool. 3 Porsches, a TR6. Battle Scarred is bringing their Crown Vic, a Pinto, and a Mustang.
Lucky Dog is at CMP for the final race of the Southern Endurance Cup. 55 cars, 11 BMWs, 14 Miatas, 5 Hondas, 2 Porsches, and then the fun ones: a 94 Escort, a 2001 Dodge Stratus, Crown Vic, another XR4 Ti, and a Ford Contour.
That's going to be awesome. And the Lemons Rally, the fall foliage is coming. 38 cars on this rally. It is going to be awesome. There are some great ones too. There's a 69 MGB, a 67 Corvair, 2 automotive journalists, and a 1958 Riley 1.5. A 73 Dodge Coronet, a 69 Cougar. Nice. There's just some good stuff. If you don't follow hashtag Lemons Rally on Instagram, you are missing out on some great stuff.
This is the rally we did last year in October. So it was a good time.
Yes.
Okay.
Cool.
We have no recent results because there hasn't been racing in a while, but we will have so many next week, which is going to be awesome. It's
All right. On the YouTube, Mully006 had a long and thoughtful discussion about the use of autonomous aircraft as we discussed in our last show. Good points were made that the solution is robust, expansive, and reliable transit system can solve the problems noted by our guest, Dan Sloat, and that while cool, flying cars don't necessarily solve the problem, but he did add that EV tolls could be useful for emergency services and decarbonizing the private helicopter market.
TDI Soar Racing said a Lemons flying car race would be awesome until you had to start dodging falling body parts.
Mm-hmm. How about some liquids? How about when somebody gets too close to you and they don't realize it? Yeah, that can just add to be some carnage.
It'd bring a new meaning of the term dive bombing as well.
Well done, Jeff.
There we
good.
go.
Also, there was lots of responses to the pictures, the many, many pictures that Mental posted at Vegas Auto Fest. Thank you for liking them and talking about all of them. They were pretty awesome.
All
Who
right.
never really dive bombs anybody.
Yeah, I think that's pretty close to correct.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think she does. Chrissy's mom.
I bet they're going to listen to this because they are traveling all over the place as they usually do.
Fantastic. Hello.
Great. It's time.
It is.
Anybody want to open this?
Well,
Okay.
last week you
Main topic
guys
time.
were talking about the 24. They're not easy. You mentioned like you're just not even your jam. I think Chris does one every year to remind himself that he hates doing full 24.
Not in every year, every
You've-
5 years.
yeah,
Occasionally
you've done-
I'll
but
say,
you've done
maybe that's
2.
an okay idea. And
You've
then
done 2,
yeah,
maybe
no,
3.
Yeah.
Yeah,
2.
2.
That's it.
And I got lucky enough to join an experienced 2014 because our guest tonight, Jeff, who mentions that he's lukewarm on true 24s, but how many of these have you done?
That was my fourth one in a row. So yeah, it's kind of masochistic.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Let's see. But I don't know. It's just like the first one was 2020 when we had the 12-hour and the 24-hour at the same time. So we entered the 12-hour and we entered the other car in the 24 hours, two Fieros. Of course, there's like 4 cars that participate in the 12-hour. So that was a pretty easy overall Class B win with that.
Still counts.
It still
does.
counts. And then we came in 4th overall, I think, in the other Fiero in the 24 field. And then we did 2021. We just ran one car in that race. And then the last year we ran the other car. We came in 10th in that race, 11th in the year before. But that was actually pretty remarkable because in the middle of the night, about 4 a.m, the car came in, it had overheated because the alternator seized and the accessory serpentine belt decided to saw its way through, break in half. So the car went around the track like a couple times at about 300 degrees, boiled all the water out, but testament to GM 60-degree V6 engines, we put a new belt on it, filled it with water again. There's no oil in the water, no water in the oil, and we sent it out with this horrible valve train chatter. And I went to bed and woke up a few hours later and it was in 10th place overall still, which was
a nice
crazy.
way to wake up.
And to finish the race, there was a black flag issue. So we ended up finishing 2021 and 11 and 2022. The car is getting tired. That's the 90 car that needs the new engine. But yeah, it's getting tired. And we ran a pretty clean race and it ended up, just having fun. And we still finished 10th. And then this year I decided to enter the Corvette, and really this was like the first true race because it rained. You guys were there in June. It rained like the whole weekend. So that posed a bunch
until the green
issues.
flag or checkered flag. Every time the checkered flag, then it stopped.
Yeah.
And
so much rain.
The only car that did like really well in that out of the 3 cars we entered was my son's 1000 because it couldn't ever go fast enough to break traction. It was just putzing around at 65 miles an hour, top speed. So, but anyway, moving forward, the 24-hour race, we decided, give this Corvette a go, and it ran the whole weekend and there were minor issues. And we kind of gave ourselves a 3-lap penalty at the beginning because we were getting a last-minute alignment done. But the team was really just really vibed and was a great team and a great car and ran the whole race. We ended up taking 4th overall without really making with basically a beta version of a car that still needed I had no idea how long the bearings would last, had no idea if the alternator and the front hubs were that was my main concern. I thought those would fail at some point, but they pretty much did at the very end. Anton Lovett, he came in and said that, he could hear it and feel it. But finished the race, took the checkers, and it was a great time. So, and most importantly, most importantly, I got my 6 hours of sleep, so I was able to drive home without running the rig off the side of the freeway.
That's a
Excellent.
great idea.
So,
Good.
So yeah.
Well, and when you say team, that was an intimidating crew at least for me, because it's Nick Heine, you, Anton Lovett, Ben. I mean, wow. These are some Lemons heavy hitters. These are just great drivers, period. But those names are known throughout the whole thing. I'm like, oh wow, I so don't belong in this crew. And I'm not fishing for a compliment with that one, but it was a great team because I think everyone did just understand the primary mission of make Corvette survive.
Yeah. Our Corvette was best Corvette, right?
I think it
Yes.
actually is the best finish for a Corvette in Lemons. I've never heard of one in the top 10 like that. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was we were satisfied with it. And really when I go to an event like that, my main concern is just everyone gets to drive, and the car runs most of the weekend. So anything after that, I mean, coming in 4th overall is fantastic,
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
That's excellent. Now, tell us a little more about the Corvette. So it's an early C4, L98, and automatic or manual. Like, what's going on with that?
This is an interesting car because, the whole, it's kind of a long story how I got in the Corvette thing in the first place, but the original car I wanted to get was this, I wanted to find like kind of a running beater, and I end up finding this 87, and my son and I went to go pick it up in Denver, and the first thing he said was like, you can't cage this one. So that was like in 2017. So we ended up driving that home. I still have it. That's kind of our fun car. But the mission went on to find a Lemons Corvette, and I found this real beater in Santa Cruz, the Craigslist, and it was the Driving While Awesome podcast guys. They were selling it. So I ended up getting a pretty good deal on this thing. I brought it home. Chris Blizzard of Hella Shitty, he picked it up for me. So I went down there to their shop in Belmont, picked it up with my son, drove it, trailered it back. That was kind of an adventure because the clutch broke on the way back. So I ended up just power shifting the truck all the way home with the car in the trailer, which is why I got a grunchy first gear in the truck now. But anyway, we get it back. It took about 3 years of prep because the car was so ratty. It had a crack pipe in it. It had probably a murder weapon in it. There's this big rusty, nasty hatchet, pen. I found a pen in it from a rehab clinic. It was
we're not judging this person at all, though.
Yeah. They forgot their crack pipe, but regardless, we had to replace just about everything on it, and I put an 84 Corvette suspension because that was, out of the first years, that was like the stiffest, firmest ride. We put the Z51 springs for the June race, and then
so what you're saying is if someone wanted a street C4 Corvette, the Z51 84 would be the best one to have.
Yeah, well, it kind of goes back to the Corvette thing, though. It's like, in 84, I guess GM really, for the first C4, they wanted a car since they knew they had, these big small block V8s that produce like 200 horsepower, that they're really going to have to like corner really work on the cornering and make a sports car that way, because they certainly didn't have the power. So the 84 Z51 and the 84 base were really firm riding cars. And of course, the people that like Corvettes, they just want to be seen in them, I guess. But there's all sorts of complaints in the 84 year. And so 85, they softened the suspension up considerably. But, as far as the engine goes in that car, it was kind of a long joke, but we wanted to put a 5-liter Chevy 302 in it. And that's kind of my thing. And that went to, like Pontiac or the Chevette in Canada was often sold as a Pontiac Acadian. So we came up with this joke, a couple friends of mine and I, when we were chatting online. It's like, well, what would a Corvette be called in Canada if it was marketed as a Pontiac? So we called it the Grand Canadian. So that's what it was badged as, the Pontiac Grand Canadian. I had that Monroney sheet and all the Canadian gag gear, for that theme for the car. And but the other joke was like, if you did a 5 liters, the joke was, the guy walks up to the guy with the Pontiac Grand Canadian. It's like, what's in that thing? Is it a 350? And the Canadian guy goes, well, I don't know what the 350 is. We got the metric system. And he goes, it's a 5-liter, buddy. And then the American looks at it and goes, oh, a 50A. And you saw the 50A emblem on the side of the car, right? And that was the joke. It's a 50A. And when I put my build sheet together, I actually had an RPO code for that engine, and it was 50A. So yeah, I built that engine out of it was a Vortec 5.7 block and heads, and it's got a crankshaft out of a 4.3 V8 Caprice engine and the rods out of that same engine. And then I mixed it up with small block pistons that were the same compression height. And that's how I got the 302 cubes. And then, put the tune port ejection system back on it with some high flow runners. And we ended up with what we got. So
that's
there
fantastic.
It is. It was basically everything on that car had to be rebuilt. It was so trashed, and we were rebuilding stuff in the morning, before the 24-hour race. I mean, half of the taillights didn't work because the wiring was shot, and there's grounds that we had to relocate everywhere. And it was just, I was kind of getting to the point where I was thinking maybe this car is hopeless, but after we got the 4th place finish, I'm like, there's newfound hope that this car can actually do something, you know? So,
Oh, it already did.
yeah. And it was fun and it was fast. And, you know, everyone that drove it left, you know, got out of the car with a big smile on their face. So
Excellent. So how was the weather in general for the weekend for the 24? It's always, you know, you never know at High Plains what you're going to get.
it was dry the whole weekend. And, you know, we didn't get our first raindrops really till the middle of the award ceremony and the middle of Sunday. So that was good because the last year's 24-hour race started in the rain and it rained for the first few hours and then it dried out and we were able to finish in the dry. But, you know, I'll take anything at this point over what we had in June. That was just,
I almost don't believe
miserable.
you that it was that you saw anything but raindrops or more raindrops. Yes.
Yeah,
June
well,
was just pouring the whole
Yep.
time.
Yeah. But yeah, and that's the picture of us getting pushed off pit lane there. So because I decided to go out there on the June race and you know, I was going to take the checker with my son in my first car, and Pontiac 1000's his first car. And we made it around a lap at the last minute after, you know, fixing a few issues. And but we both, I'm coming up the hill and after we checkered on a cool down lap, and I noticed my water temperature is spiking. And, you know, and there's no alternator charge. So the belt had fallen off probably before I even got in the car, right? So I get on the pit road and it's all jammed up. So I shut the car off so it doesn't blow up the engine. And I noticed the person, you know, the car that's stopped all traffic on the pit lane is my son. So they push him out of the way. So I fired up the car, got right behind him. And then I asked the, you know, the staff, it's like, hey, can we just push our own cars in? Meaning, you know, my son pushes his car in, I push my car in. And they're like, nah, we'll go get your teammates. So that picture that, you know, with Neil Losi and all those guys pushing us off pit lane, that was the photo finish we got at the end of the race, was, you know, my son getting pushed off in the Pontiac and me getting pushed off with our teammates right behind them. And that was pretty great. And yeah,
It was a good time.
So
how did this race go day by day? Friday. Yeah, do you guys do any testing, working on the car? What happened Friday? How did it all come together?
Oh, on Friday, I generally get, you know, anybody's there on Friday, we'll get them a track pass to do testing to just get everyone. I figure if you're gonna, especially critical in the Fieros, which are can be tail happy and unforgiving since they're mid-engine, but just to get people comfortable with the car and the quirks, I'd rather have them spin out on Friday when nothing's at stake.
Always. Yes. That's what
And-
testing day is for.
And the other thing is, like any little weak spots or weak links you're going to find in the car, you know, you're going to find on Friday, you hope, not on, you know, Saturday during the race. So we did that. And then, you know, everyone just kind of worked together. It was great. I mean, I almost just sat back in a lawn chair and just watched the team run itself, which is, you know, great for me because.
And, amazing.
Yeah,
You were living the
so-
dream at that point. That's
Yeah,
wonderful.
Yeah. And, you know, Mental was, you know, a big part of that. He really, you know, picked up and took more than his share of the slack to make sure that happened. So he was an invaluable team member. I know he's trying to, you know, yeah, I know you're trying to be humble, but really you were, you know, that was great having you on the team. I'd race with you again anytime. So,
well, I think it
So,
was like you said, you know, you surrounded yourself with some top-notch folks, and there's everybody right there. And
Yeah.
nobody's theming weak. Everyone, you know, even Anton's dressed up. And then, you know, on the far right, that's the other Ben. And
yeah, the other Ben.
he wasn't even racing. He just came out to help out with pit stops. And he ended up doing, we were having to stop every 90 minutes. He did every single one. As it started to get like late in the morning, he's like, well, I'm not going to go to sleep now, damn it, because I've done every pit stop so far. So
goodness.
actually did.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
very
no.
nice of him.
And I had just met Ben. He was actually Ben Lamberson. The other Ben is an old friend of mine. He runs this you know, Audi Volkswagen repair shop. So the other Ben's one of his customers, and he had never been to a 24-hour race, and he never, you know, he's like, well, I'd like to check it out, so let's go. So we put him on the team as crew, and he got a suit, and yeah, he helped with every pit stop, which is remarkable, you know. And he
Amazing.
it was it was a really great crew in that aspect. And, you know, we, everything jived together, and it kind of, you know, it's to get one of these things done is, you know, and I've said this a lot to like new teams or whatever. It's like the 3 tenets of Salty Thunder Racing per se, but is you want to build a reliable car, you want to get a reliable team, which we had, and you just don't want to create your own problems. That's the third one, you know, and that's, you know, like obnoxious, you know, superchargers or failure prone modifications or just lazy car prep and cutting corners. I mean, those are all ways to create your own problems. And, you know, we obviously everything just came together in this race, and then we made it all the way to the end on a car that I was really kind of like, this is really an untested platform, and Corvettes in general. I mean, you guys tried to put us in B, and they tried to put us in B again, you know, because of the bad reputation of C4 Corvettes. But I insisted we go in A, and you know, we're 4th place overall in the A field.
Now you're stuck in A forever.
Oh, no.
Well, you know what? I don't care, because really that's an A car. I mean, it, you know, it's where it belongs. Let's put it that way.
When it runs,
Yeah.
Oof. Anton, I believe, took the first stint and out of the gate set the fastest lap of the race that would stand for a good
it was
4 or 5
2:15.
hours until that turbo Chevette came out there and then threw down another scorcher. And then Ben from our team went out there and beat Anton's lap, and then the turbo Chevette got us again.
Yeah.
So it's got the speed to it.
Yeah, it just doesn't it doesn't
Never lasts.
Yeah.
Ever.
He lasted, and you know, and Hank, the guy that you know, the kid that well, he's not a kid, he's an adult, but he got that car when he was 17, and he's built it into this. It's actually a pretty remarkable machine when it runs. It's fast and everything, but they were doing pretty well at this race, and then they got taken out by this BMW team, and that's kind of why they finished is where they did. It had nothing to do with the car braking, because Hank's figured it out, you know, how to squeeze all the power out of a red block without turning into a hand grenade. And you know, and then he's well, we weighed that car too, and just show you how much it's been modified. We weighed it with my long acres there in June, and he's taken a 2,000 pound Chevette and made it weigh 2,700 pounds now, with all the, you know, with all the upgrades and everything it has. But yeah, that car is fast. I mean, you know, he's doing like 135 down the Brack Straight. You know, that's how fast it is. And had it not been for them getting, you know, clobbered by that BMW and him having to well back the front half of the chassis in the middle of the morning, it probably would have finished pretty well.
But one of the things I know we worked on, and we came up with this on Friday, and then after Anton went out, Ben and and then the guy from Hella Shitty, why is his name escaping me?
Simon.
Ben, Simon, and Anton sat down, and they looked at the tire wear, and they said, okay, if we can consistently run 220s, we'll make the car last all week, or for the full 24. So that's where we started backing off, and Anton called it, because as you mentioned, the bearing was going, and he corded the tires.
Yeah, they were down the cords
at
at the end of the race. Yeah. And the other thing too, though, by slowing down, I noticed like the oil you know, we were having to put an oil in because it had developed a little oil leak. But when everyone was doing like mid-teen laps, we were having to put one cord in every other stint. When everyone backed off, that turned in like every third stint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that, you know, there was, that saved us some laps too. But
we also had to do a
real racing, you know.
Yeah, we had to do a brake pad change. I want to say about midnight, 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And
there was that.
Roll us on into Saturday race. What time's the race start? How did everything get set up for the day? You said Anton started off and did great. So what else? Roll into it, Mental.
So Saturday, it's alarmingly pretty. HPR is either monsoon or unholy hot. And it was just absolutely lovely. It was high 70s, low 80s, nice breeze, real low key. Everybody was in a really, really good mood. because it was a true 24 and everyone had done all their tech and everything the night before. Most everyone got up on Saturday morning, slept off however much they drank too much the night prior. Matt Adair and I had our constant argument about why the A10 needs to be retired. He thinks it doesn't. This makes a lot more sense after you've been drinking. And the green flags, the green flag went at noon, right at noon on Saturday.
Yeah,
And
it was at noon.
Away we
Noon to
went.
noon.
And
no.
as it was happening, we were doing an alignment. So we lost 3 laps on that one.
Yeah. But, it's, we weren't really, to be honest, we weren't really expecting we were going to take the overall and run away with it anyway. So we're just kind of like, just taking it easy and having fun and not trying to, make this a job. Right. So it ended up working out pretty well. And yeah, he's right. The weather couldn't have been, it was pleasant. It wasn't hot, and it wasn't, in the last 4 of these, there's been rain at some point in the last 3, I should say. Usually, a shower comes through, or you get some kind of weird weather. It gets super windy. There was none of that. It was just pretty much, just beautiful weather for this race for the whole 24. So, and then we got a few raindrops at the award ceremony. So that was about the extent of it.
Although when I was driving out there Friday, as I got there Friday morning, I got signed into the track, I did see a moth and had like an entire PTSD episode from a trip out there in June.
Oh, yep. That was a thing. Were they
Mhm.
not as bad?
No,
Were they just like the whole weekend? They weren't as bad?
that was like the only one that I saw. I kept waiting for like more, like they were all
Weird.
like gathering up and hiding behind like a door or something. And they were just going to swarm us
wow.
at any given moment. But we didn't,
Well, good.
we didn't have that.
All right.
That's-
So, so talk about when you guys went out for your stints on Saturday. How were your shifts? How'd everything go?
Well, with me, with these 24s, I've got one stint that I do, and I want the day to night stint because I want to drive in the day, I want to drive in the night, and I get to see the sunset. And sometimes you got to drive with your fist balled up in the windshield to block the sun as you're going to back straight. But I took it really easy. I think I was doing like mid 220s, just because my concern was the bearings, and and the other thing was Mental was the last person to drive the car after me. I was driver 5, so I wanted to make sure that he would.
That's
get
usually
his,
a good idea. Just saying.
Yeah. So I want to make sure that I didn't drive the wheels off it, and so anyway, I drove a pretty easy stint, and then I handed off to Mental, and he got in the car, and then Nick and I went back into town to get fuel. And which is remarkable. Usually I have like 90 to 100 gallon gas surplus at the end of these events, but this time we got it down, and at the end of the race there was only 1 can of 5 gallons fuel left over. So we finally got that formula right. But Mental, how was your stint?
So the first thing, the car's got power for days, and like anything that's got a proper motor behind it, there is a little bit of psychological warfare. And I deliberately took my practice on Friday at night after dark, just to recalibrate my knowledge of HPR. And as it turned out, I didn't get in the car until after dark, because Jeff took his stint. So I'm out there, and one of the interesting things is this race, Bob out of Texas, the Escape Velocity Racing, was adamant that there would be absolute rules regarding lights, and no one was going to have these giant supernovas on the front of their cars and going around and blinding everyone to the point where you had to, after dark, go and get your lights inspected. They had it measured out. They had a distance from the front of the car to a sign. And if there was unfocused light over the top of this line on the board, you failed, and it was go back and do it again. And this car, you saw the headlights on there. There was nothing that cosmic about it. So you didn't have
because having those mega Brodozer light bars on the front of some of these that do nothing except glare and don't actually light down the track.
Yep.
It's a shame.
Yeah. And what was great about Jeff's is his were yellow, so they didn't have the same dazzling effect in everybody's mirrors. Go ahead, Jeff.
What was that?
I'll say, go ahead. You had something.
Oh yeah. Well, I was just going to add on about the lights. Like, at this last 3 races, the lighting has been kind of, you had all these guys with the light bars, and you would get caught in your own eclipse. And after each race, I'd contact Lemon staffs like, you got to do something, do something. And it took a couple years to figure out how to get the rules going. But this year they put out like definitive rules that, this is where your headlights got to be, your door numbers got to be lit. And I think it worked fantastically because, when I drove my stint last year, I almost went off course twice because I would get eclipsed in my own shadow when this, big giant arc welding, MIG welding glass comes up in your rearview mirror and you can't see anything. And if you think it's the mothership from Close Encounters, kind of gobble you up. And then they go off the side. Next thing you see is just the track edge just right in front of you, and you slam on the brakes and somehow, you save it like that. But this year I went through the stint and I was like coming back from actually on Friday practice when that was going. That's when I first noticed the change. As normal, you crest the hill and you come into HPR, you're looking down the back straight, and all the previous years, it would just get blinded by all these cars with these massive, horrible lights, blinding you as you're coming down Highway 36 towards the track. And this year we crested over the hill and left down. Yeah, every car had its lights shining where it's supposed to be on the racing service and not in my eyes, and that reflected too on the track. When I was out there in my stint, I went through and I was like, not once did I have any concern for my safety. So, and I have to hand it to Lemons. They did something, they did it right. And I hope these rules stick around, they're great.
I know there was a lot of people that were, oh, we're not gonna be able to see, blah, 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 blah. And it was just, shut up. Everyone has the same rules. This is how it is. If you can't see at night, don't drive. But with the good thing, so having those yellow lights on there, we didn't have that dazzling effect. So there was no intimidation using the lights. But sometimes you're still trying to work your way through traffic and everyone's doing their thing. And was my favorite thing about the, having the Corvette is you could come up alongside somebody as you were coming into a corner and you had the option of announcing your presence when you downshifted, just to let everyone know, got a big V8 here. It's okay. This is just temporary. I'm going to be right here. And then as soon as we're done with this corner, I'm leaving. And actually, even on that, the way the suspension was set up on that one, after Ben went through and got it all dialed up, you could even get around some people on the corner. I would say there's probably maybe less than 5 cars that were consistently quicker. And I do remember getting into traffic and one of the cars racing out of class. I was particularly annoyed with it. I get that you want to race, but you're kind of creating a dangerous situation. And as we pulled onto the back straightaway, I made it a point to pull next to them, hold for a second, and then upshift and pull away to let them know that, look, this is the power that this car has, because it was quick. And about 20 minutes later, when I lapped them again, they recognized and just pointed me by. So a little bit of psychological warfare that you can do with kind of the same thing occasionally we would do with Godzilla. Just, look, it's Godzilla. It's coming through. It's going to get around you. You're just making it more painful than it has to be. So that was actually one of the best parts of that car. We were having a real fuel consumption problem. It's a stock tank, and we ended up leaving the last 6 or 7 gallons in there, and we would get really bad fuel starve and sustained right-handers, which there's a lot of those at HPR. So we were trying all the drivers, we were kicking around different theories, and we were trying our best to see what kind of fuel conservation methods we had. And during my first set for the last 40 minutes, I wouldn't take it past 5,000 RPMs. And even most of the time was shifting at 4,500 RPMs. And as it turns out, even with a 5-liter that's been stroked down, that has absolutely zero effect on fuel consumption. None, just absolutely no change whatsoever. At exactly 90 minutes, we started getting the hints of fuel starve. And within 10 minutes, you have to pull it in, or you're starting to bog it in corners coming through that one. But it's a surprisingly easy car to drive.
Yeah, and going back a day, I mean, I didn't drive that car at all in the June race. I was just so beat from prepping, basically 2.5 cars. I mean, my son did most of the work on his, but I was constantly there dropping what I had to do on the Corvette to go give him a hand if he needed help with something. And then I was just exhausted. And so the only time I drove in June was just to do the, the finish with my son. And so I had to take the feedback I got from like Anton, Chris, and those Neil, Losi, the guys that drove it. And that's when I decided to put the base springs in and get out the Z51 springs to kind of get it neutral, because they were telling me it was a little bit pushy in the corners. But when I got in the car and testing on Friday, it was the first time I drove it. And it was incredible. I mean, I couldn't imagine this car would handle this well. And then going on my Saturday stint, it's like, all those guys that went before me basically set the precedence, because I wasn't even trying that hard. I was just doing mediocre laps, but people would hear me coming, and you'd see them kind of just slink over on the edge of the track, and then you see a little finger go out the window. They're like, yeah, we're not even going to mess with you, dude. Just go. And I can't imagine the engine just sounded great. So I'm sure, it was definitely that car had a way of announcing itself, and especially with the yellow lights. I think we're the only car that was running the European yellow lights all the way across. And so, yeah, it definitely stood out in the field.
You could wind it up to 61, but it would start running out of air at about 55. And most of the time, I think even Anton and the crew were shifting at 51, 52, just to put it right back in the meat. Yeah,
I would say I've got a different set of intake runners for that thing to give it a little more air. And then, if I really want to get it all the air, I've got another option for that too. But we're probably going to go with the SLP runners. I've got some Siamese, like ported ones I found. And we'll see if that can give it just a little bit more RPMs, because I know the cam can draw a little more air, but the best, if I got it to 5,400, it was really trying, so that was a struggle. I can't believe you guys got to 61. I mean, were you going downhill or something?
I think Anton did it once just to see, and immediately came back and said, don't even bother.
Yeah.
You're wasting time, and you're wasting RPMs.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the only way I could get it to go to 61 at all was if I was in neutral, And
it was, I think it was down the back straightaway on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. So overnight, everything went fairly smoothly. You did a brake change. Everyone. Now, overnight on these, do you guys always have someone up as like a spotter for, on the radio for people in the 24? Or you just send the driver out and say, all right, we'll see you in an hour and a half. Have a nice day.
No, there's, we try to plan it the best we can in shifts. You got to have the right team to do this right. And this time we had the right team. There was always someone on the radio. I mean, I've had races before where someone was supposed to be on the radio, and, then they fell asleep. Right. Or they went off and then,
you're like, anybody out there?
Yeah.
I totally heard it on radio.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yep.
What's everybody doing?
It's 2 a.m. Shut up.
Can I have some chips?
Well, the biggest worry is like the car's going to come into the pit, and there's no.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's sleeping. So, but we've got it down. You get the right team together and plan it well. And most importantly, I got to get my sleep. So, these guys were great. They managed that whole. I woke up in the morning and everything's just business as usual, and that's awesome.
Yeah. The worst pit stop we had was 6.5 minutes because we dropped the gas cap down behind the plastic, the rear bumper section over there. We just had to,
oh no,
in full gear, reach up there with big gloved hands. But it was, we all immediately knew what happened, knew it needed to be done. And that only extended our pit stop like 45 seconds. And that was our worst one. Everybody was really on point. It was great.
That's excellent. All right. So you roll into Sunday. Someone gets that wonderful sunrise shift. It's a beautiful day. How's everything going in Sunday?
As long as it is a beautiful day.
No, that's true. Yeah.
This particular time it was a gorgeous, it had gotten a little overcast towards the end of the morning. And then the but the sun came up and it kind of burned off the clouds. It was just I think I ended up taking a picture of it and sending it to Vicky. Just a really pretty, very Colorado High Plains sunrise.
Yeah, and I do recall that, like, in wee hours of the morning, there was like a fog bank that did roll in, and it put up a 4-course yellow somewhere. I was sleeping at this time, of course, but I think that was the worst it ever got as far as track conditions went.
Yeah,
Sounds nice.
the only
Lucky.
really bad thing was you had TDI Soar was out there and in the Mooshlong Jetta. And that car has gotten very quick, and that team has gotten very good. And then you guys as friends, the guy and the little rabbit, the diesel rabbit, they were out there. They were also
Friends? I'm not sure that we're friends.
they were also
Pretty
very
sure we're
quick.
not friends.
Yeah, and there was a third diesel Volkswagen out there, and the worst part of all three of those cars, you would at night you would see yourself coming up on them because it looks like you're rolling up on a car that might be blowing smoke, and then by the third time it happened, you're like, oh, it's the diesels again, and then your eyes start to burn. Your eyes would just burn, and you're like, oh my God, where is this diesel? I have to pass it just to get some clean air.
Yeah. I had the same day at CMP at night. I'm like, this is terrible, but I have a harder time going fast enough to get by it. So it takes longer. Yeah.
Well, they weren't as nearly as bad as some of the diesel cars are. Like I recall that it was like that diesel Volkswagen Caddy, the truck.
It's the same team that ran that rabbit.
That was one of them.
Oh God.
Yeah. That thing was like a soot cloud. Like it was rolling coal for the whole race, and you got behind that thing. And it was, you definitely knew it, well before you came up on the car. You could just start smelling it. And then next thing you know, you're, huffing coal cloud, and it was nasty. But those TDIs they had, they did have a little bit of that effect as well.
But so yeah, sun comes up Sunday morning. I think you crawled out of bed and you were either expecting to see the car in there on jack stands with half the engine apart,
or you're still running.
How are we doing? Well, we just sent I think we sent the Simon out, and we're fifth. But nope, there we are. We're fourth again.
Yeah, that was I think we went back to fifth and then the fourth a couple times through the couple pit stops. Then we managed to creep back into fourth in the last stint, and and then the checker flag happened at noon, and that was that's pretty much it. It was a pretty good effort, and everyone had a great time, which is the most important part. It's supposed to be fun. We finished really well in a car that I was, kind of worried about, to be honest. I mean, we weren't able to run it at its full, sprint in all the rain and everything back in the June race. So for a real, like, let's grind it out and see how long everything lasts, this car was pretty fantastic.
That's great. Especially with a car that's so new to you're running it, to have it work out like that. It's everyone's dream. Okay. Accommodations. How did you guys figure out where to stay? I mean, is Mental sleeping in his Miata, or
actually
have a RV, or what happens?
So I bought an outdoor hammock to sleep, and Friday night I tried to stretch it from the fence to my Miata, but the fence kept leaning over. And after about an hour, I just completely gave up on it. And in fact, I did sleep in my Miata. It was every bit as comfortable as you'd think it was. It was awful.
So most people are staying up and helping all night. You're just like, I just can't sleep because you don't have actual accommodations.
Right.
Wow. Okay.
And then, but then Saturday, I think everybody was just kind of grabbing power naps where they could, either in their cars or in the chairs there. And then the other Ben, the Ben that helped us, he had a foldable cot with a tent over the top of it, and I got a nice power nap in that one before I drove home on Sunday.
Yeah,
you just looked a little sad. You're like, I'm mental and I didn't sleep any. I couldn't sleep in my head. It fell down.
yeah, it was stupid because I stayed up all night to drive there, and I knew I was going to be up all night driving home. And then I didn't sleep Friday, and I got like a 5-hour power nap on Sunday. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That's
Lots
a little
of
rough, but
so
good on
much
you.
Red Bull. Max Verstappen better send me a Christmas card because I basically paid for their season.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I think I had the most luxurious accommodations, and it took me a while to figure out how to do this because I used to just sleep in the trailer on an air mattress or something. But after several years of the air mattress deflating and me rolling off onto the hard floor, or waking up in the middle of the night and you got to go to the bathroom and it's pitch black and you're like, where's the exit? And I end up buying a toy hauler for 1 year, but that thing was just unwieldy and massive, as nice as it was. So I got rid of that, and then I ended up with one of these little pop-up truck bed campers. So it's got a queen mattress over the cab. The top folds down, so it doesn't have much of an aerodynamic penalty. And the important thing, it's got a fridge, a little kitchen, and a shower and a toilet in it. So,
wow.
So I get to go in there.
That's living large.
Yeah, it's like I feel like a real race car driver, but and I got electricity and a microwave, and I can plug my laptop in, and but everybody else was like sleeping in their cars or in tents, and I did bring an air mattress, an inflatable air mattress thing that I put in the trailer, and a couple people took naps on that, but by any means, it was pretty miserable. So
we hadn't been doing so well, it would have been horrible, but we were all kind of like, hey, we're doing well. So yeah, keep it up.
And did you guys have I hesitate to call it a garage at High Plains, a
carport? It's a carport.
Lean-to, right? Yeah, carport.
Yeah, we had the carport.
We were right next to the 57 Dodge. I forget the team principal on that one.
You're talking about the truck?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I think it's a 1950 Dodge Pilot House pickup truck. That's Kevin Temmer's truck with Grumpy Cat Racing.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, Kevin, and then Rafi Ward, who we're going to try and talk to next month. He's a great group of just low key guys, and then right past them was Chris, with Mary's husband, and then we had the Porsche guys on the other. No, we had the Super Trooper Mustang.
Yeah,
so good neighbors, which made it way easier.
That was Mo that was in the the Mustang you're talking about with the with the police theme.
Yeah, the Reno 911. Yeah, they were lemons, so they all had short shorts, and they were pretty hardcore dedicated to this theme. And the one guy playing Dangle walked around without a shirt on most of the weekend, even at 2:00 in the morning. He was doing that. They were trying really hard for Halloween Meets Gasoline, but the Savage Orchid guys were next level.
Yeah, they were, but yeah, they called themselves the Fun Police, doing Reno 911 thing, but they were going around and issuing citations. They had like a ticket book, and they were issuing citations to everybody.
That's fun.
So they were really great. And I've known Mo for a while. He started racing in Lemons with Steve McDaniel, and then I think his second race was with me, and he drove with me a couple times before he kind of branched off and did his own team. But going back to Grumpy Cat and that Kevin with that 1950s truck, he was like the first person I met in Lemons, because we both did our first race together in 2014 at Utah. So it was good to be surrounded by good people, and then this being our 10th year, our 10th season, to finish and race with those guys, all weekend was really great. It's and it's really what's kept me in Lemons. It's just all the great people I've met in this series.
Yeah, I think that applies for all of us without a doubt.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Kind of interesting to think about awards. I feel like the 24, you have so much focus on racing and trying to do well that I wasn't even thinking about Halloween Meets Gasoline. We talked about the awards last week. I think we ran through the awards, but anything else notable that the people that won, we kind of flew through them. So I don't know if there's anything, but anything that we want to talk about, but Halloween Meets Gasoline for a full 24 usually you're trying to do themes for a long time, but you have to be really good and on it for that long.
Yeah, on Savage Orchid, their theme was basically Grimace, of McDonald's.
Because it was his birthday.
And they painted. Yeah, it was his Grimace's birthday. So the car was wrapped in this like metallic purple, wrap for the whole car. And then they had a Grimace costume, and the whole weekend they were just working it. Grimace was going around, and some car broke down. Grimace was back there crying, and because the car came in on the wrecker, and then they were going to the judges and doing skateboard tricks and Grimace suit and giving the judges massages. And so yeah, they basically they earned that, getting that trophy.
They because it was a McDonald's thing. They kept asking everybody if you're loving it. Yeah, are you loving it? Because they wanted you to say I'm loving it, so they could go ba da ba ba ba. The Grimace giving
not
massage.
annoying at all.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember coming out of
Yeah,
Definitely not creepy at all.
well,
Yeah.
I remember coming out of the showers at 4 o'clock in the morning or something like that, and just kind of feeling a little recharged and refreshed, and walking by the judge's booth, and there's Bob sitting there at the computer with some person in a Grimace costume massaging his shoulders, as he does lemon stuff, and just thinking any other place that might seem weird, but
Only here.
yeah, it's almost borderline creepy, but I have to give those guys applaud for their effort, because they certainly they got themselves noticed, so that's what's the themes are great for the teams that really tried to do them. And I really got a kick out of the Reno 911 guys, because parked next to us, because they were the same way. They were working it the whole weekend, writing people fun police tickets, and
3 o'clock in the morning, they're going around fussing at people, writing them tickets. Yeah. Giving them a hard time. That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was great. So, and then, with our theme, with the Corvette aficionados of Central Kentucky, which the club is
tell that story. I feel like there's great background behind it.
Well, when I was trying to think of the theme, it's like nobody really got the Grand Canadian thing anyway. So it was like, let's just make it a Corvette again. Let's do something easy, because I'm going to have a group of guys largely haven't raced together. And I was like, well, let's just do a Corvette club. Now, there's a couple like points of inspiration that I got for this theme. But one is whenever I went like looking through certain Corvette forums, they have these like targeted ads that come up, and they were like for Cialis, or like, it just stuff like that, that senior citizens would be interested in. And then, I had this overnight in Bowling Green, Kentucky with my job last year. And I came out of my room in the morning to check out, and this dude comes out next to me, and he's got this silver ponytail, Pratt & Miller Corvette racing jacket, and he's pulling an oxygen tank. He's got a cannula in his nose. So he walks out, he goes out in the front, of course it's Bowling Green, so that parking lot's like half Corvette. But this guy, as soon as he gets outside, he sets his oxygen cart down and lights up a cigarette. Then his wife comes rolling out past him with their luggage. They load it in the C7. She gets in the driver's seat. He finishes his cigarette, gets in the passenger seat, and they drove off. And I'm like, that's the guy I want to be for this theme. So,
that's the guy I want to be.
and you can see
I want to be that guy.
So, Nick off to my right, but in the left side of the picture there, he decided to put a stoma, into his neck there. And he had a cigarette held up there. And then, everyone had their own version of what who they'd be in the Corvette, aficionados of Central Kentucky. And of course we had that poster there. We gave the car a name, and in this case, it was the Girdle Dropper. Originally, I was going to call it Metal Musil, and then create a Instagram page for Metal Musil. And so I started to go register that, and I found out some teenage girl in like Iowa City has Metal Musil as her Instagram handle. So I kind of abandoned that, and then just went with the Girdle Dropper. But it was a pretty elaborate theme, like mine usually are, and half the people don't get it, but we get it. That's all.
That means you're doing it all right.
Totally.
Yeah.
That is absolutely great. If you get it and you think you're funny, that's all that matters.
Yeah. And the funny thing too, is when I was explaining this to Nick, about, the guy I saw, with the auction, he's like, oh, so basically this theme is based on a true story. I'm like, yeah, So yeah, but no, it was all in all, it was it's the way a 24-hour race should be. Everybody had a good time, and it was just laid back, and the car finished really well, so you couldn't really ask for a better weekend.
That's excellent. Well, that's a great place to stop it. You wrapped this up nicely on with a bow for us. Like, yeah, that's it.
So
All right.
the one thing he did miss on there, and I'm trying to like find it where it's like obvious, is right here on the back of the car where it says bonerpills.com.
Yeah, that was our sponsor. So bonerpills.com, which
probably exists.
Yeah, I actually think the domain name's available. So, one of you guys should get right on.
Okay, good.
Why do I feel like I'm going to get
exactly
an
like
email from either Randy or Donnie with like the domain bonerpills.com already purchased?
That would not surprise me.
No. All right. Did we talk enough about pros and cons? How do you sell somebody on that this is a great time, a great thing to do?
On a 24?
Yeah, for a 24.
I can't.
No, you're not. I'm not asking you. Because you didn't.
Because I tried talking you two into it, and you're like, yeah, everything you're describing sounds horrible to me.
Yep, we did it once, and I'm glad I did it once, and I didn't even drive. So there you go.
And I did it twice in one race, that one weekend that time.
Right, you're insane. So there's that.
I'm mental. Yeah.
Well, for me, I guess at this point, it's kind of like Malort. First shot's terrible, second shot's terrible. Then you just find yourself, it's like, well, it's miserable, but I like it and I can't stop doing it. So, I guess that's the sine wave, as Hank says, is like every third shot of Malort, you just don't taste it anymore. So yeah, but
I don't know if that's a great sale to somebody who's never done one and thinks that this is going to be the super fun.
Well,
to the right kind of people, it is. Yeah.
Maybe.
On a more serious note, though, I mean, if the only reason to do a 24-hour race is just to say you did it, really, and when I first got into Lemons, I was kind of like, I want to do one 24-hour race, and if I can just build a car that can run the whole entire 24-hour race and finish, I figured that's a pretty big accomplishment, and now I hear I've done it 4 times. I'm just like, yeah, I got that t-shirt, and I guess I want to keep giving that t-shirt until something else gives. But I don't know, it is, just the sense of accomplishment building a Lemons car and show up at the track is pretty awesome. But if you
I would argue it's very similar to when you finish a marathon. You're miserable, you're tired, you're sweaty, you're sore, you're chafed, but you did something.
But you did it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I think that's pretty consistent with probably at least Chris's experience.
Yeah. It's like drinking Malort. That's the best way to say it.
Yeah.
That is alarmingly accurate.
Yes, it is. All right. Well, that's definitely where we're leaving it, isn't it?
Okay.
All right. So time for our final topic.
Okay.
Chrissy,
let's do it.
We're going to do it on the spot. So Jeff, this is where we propose a question. No one knows what the question is. So the person asking, and everyone has to come up with a brief answer around the horn, essentially. So this is the safety on the spot, safety around 24s. Let's everyone give one quick tip to help improve safety in a 24-hour race that everyone can do.
Lights.
Okay, what about it?
I don't know, lighted pit signs, things like that. I mean, just making you so I usually have a light on our pit sign, but I got a little lazy on this one. So we just, but yeah, basically anything in the night race, going around the paddock to make yourself more visible, like reflective jackets and things, that would be, yeah, that's that, on a serious note, that's probably would really help. So.
And because you have a different mindset, like you don't wear them, when you're not racing and it's at night and you're all partying, because it's just you have people that are coming in that are speeding in the pits possibly, or just not thinking about people or dogs or whatever. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. So, And yeah, they do speed the pits at night. It's
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
is real racing.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. Or not even real racing.
Yeah, I love that. And you could always tell because as they would come by the carports, 7 of the 8 or 9 teams right there would all yell, "Slow down!"
Right.
And
right.
one
Yeah.
guy decided to stop and cop attitude that 4 teams yelled at him to slow down, and it went every bit as well as you predicted because instantly it became 10 teams telling him the speed limit's 10
Oh.
miles an hour and we're not going to have you doing this, pal.
No.
Yeah, and
Yep.
and generally the guys that get the the carports, they're pretty seasoned teams that have run many lemons, so they're not like it's not like just these noobs telling them to slow down. You got
And they probably have judged or at least known somebody that has judged or
Yeah.
been close enough to the people that judged know the rules.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they're the secondary enforcers, I'd say. But
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, for
totally,
sure.
totally agree. My safety tip is sleep. I think it's very important to sleep because I think if you don't, I mean, if Red Bull works that well for you, then cool. But I still think that if you're going to race, if you're not going to race, I think sleep is still important. But if you're going to race, you need a certain amount of focus. And you should be semi-clear headed, even though it's 2 a.m. and you're on a racetrack with a whole bunch of other stupid people. I still think that sleep has got to be up there as something just to make your body's not used to doing this anyway. So if you're already depleting it of resources that it requires, I think that's probably mine.
I would agree. That's a good one.
Quasi piggyback on that one is and we've had this conversation even on this show, is knowing your limits. And it all comes down to a speech that I heard years ago, and it was know how far you can go and know how long you can go without these things, and know what it takes to recover and how long it takes to recover. And I've done this. I can't do it every day, there are limitations, but at the race, in the car, driving the tow rig home, that's not the time to find out where your limits are. You need to know what those limits are beforehand. And if you've never done it, in just being at a racetrack, it drains twice as much energy as anything you would do a normal time, even if you're not driving. And if you've never found absolutely what your warning signs are, what your limits are, this is not the place to find it out. So you need to know walking into this event how much you can stand. And it's not a question of being macho or tough. The certain people can only go for so long. Certain people can do other things. And knowing that you got to stay hydrated and all that stuff, and not necessarily trusting your normal habits, but having experienced your physical body pushed to its limits, you need to know before you get there.
And that wasn't that my comment wasn't against you.
No, exactly. You're no, and that's I hope that's like a dovetail comment.
Yes,
because we've chuckled about this before. Chrissy needs 8 hours. Period. Dot. That's non-negotiable. This is how it's going to go down.
It's not 8 hours, but
if
it's
enough.
Enough, yes.
At a precise time,
two is not enough for me. Yeah. So that's why and Red Bull, like, I'm not a person. So I know that about myself. So that's fine.
Exactly.
That's
so knowing those limits and
right.
And certainly, I unfortunately had a career that, trained me to do dumb shit like this for, surge operations kind of a deal.
Why are we bringing surge into this? Do not drink surge.
No, not drinking surge.
Worst.
Going hard for a while.
Just kidding. I was just kidding.
No, surge. Actually, but if you find surge, tell us where it is.
Yeah. All right. I guess I'll wrap this up. I'm going to say always have a designated responsible adult around anytime during the race, whether they're the one on the radio or making sure that there's food late night food is fantastic. That the fuel cans are filled up, because that's, if everyone goes to sleep and forgets it, things like that. One designated, this is your time to be a responsible adult and do all these things. I think that keeps everyone safer.
Oh my gosh. We had the best midnight food, 2 a.m. food.
There's a great responsible adult at the 24-hour race.
Yeah, Mary's always
Yeah.
good at being a responsible adult. She turns on her mom doctor voice, and you just yes, okay. That's it. All right.
Yeah, that was nice
All
actually
right.
at this
Uh,
HPR. They had the food cart stayed open for the 24-hour race. It was wonderful.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. It's the worst food ever.
I don't agree.
Don't get the grilled cheese. I'll just say that.
Oh, it
it's
was
bad.
a cold piece of cheese on a cold piece of bread.
That does
Jeff
sound
Stobbs
awful.
was so mad. Have you
I-
seen Jeff Stobbs? Have you seen Jeff Stobbs mad
yeah,
at
that's
a
scary.
grilled cheese? Oh no.
I had
He was all
I had a
excited
good-
for the grilled cheese too,
Yeah.
and just starts eating it. And it's just he's like, this is just a mildly lukewarm
He
cheese
like
sandwich, and
of
it's
like a,
bad
ch- a
at
gr-
that.
like a
it's
cheese
thrown away.
single. Oh, it was
Yeah.
not good.
I had
They were off the right game if
really
they-
good. I had a good breakfast, or I had a good like burrito. Then I had a cheeseburger, and then I had a really nice breakfast bowl. Yeah, all right. So it was-
Okay, good. I'm
yeah,
glad
maybe
you're-
they took the feedback on this one. But I did not have the grilled cheese.
I'm glad. It was not good.
Oh,
Well, Jeff, thanks for being on here and telling us about your adventure.
Yeah, thanks for
Pretty
having
awesome.
me.
Nice to see you.
Jeff, you got
Yeah,
any
likewise.
social media you want to pimp for the Salty Thunder?
You can look us up, Salty Thunder Racing. We'll pop up on Instagram and Facebook.
All right.
So
And we'll have those. We'll have those links.
like and subscribe, So
You're very convincing there.
yeah.
Yeah.
All
right. That's not working tonight because it's hooked up to Chrissy's phone. Anyway,
Oh, sorry.
so Mental, you can sing if you want. Thanks for downloading us.
Don't
We hope you
sing.
enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. Hope you'll join us in the world of driving, racing, building, and staying up all night, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed the podcast, subscribe for free. Go to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. I don't care what you think, 5 stars, and tell us why. Questions, show ideas, thoughts, comments, emotional outbursts. Comment on any of the various social medias. It's Everyone Racers or Everyone.Racers, pretty much everywhere. Text Mental, tell him how to set up his hammock at 484-243-0455.
I did get an excellent message today from our Omaha friend who finally got rid of his Altima and got himself a Volkswagen, which I feel like is an upgrade.
It is.
It's
It's,
a-
not an
it's a-
Altima,
it's a
so
new
they-
Volkswagen.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
So
Good luck on that.
no more
Great.
big Ultima energy.
All right. Well, in general, then keep the shiny side up, unless there is no shiny side because you just went through a 24-hour race. Then just keep the wheels down and pop them boner pills.